Ambassador John Bolton, the former U.S. ambassador to the UN, of course, and a Fox News contributor. Great to see you, Ambassador, as always.
Great to be with you, John.
What do we... This is not an anti-American, on the face of it, attack. This was all about the presence of Kenyan troops, so Al-Shabaab, the terrorist group behind it, says. But what should we take away from this kind of attack?
Well, I think there are a couple of lessons that we should draw. You're quite right. The attack by Al-Shabaab in Nairobi has more to do with Kenyan government involvement in trying to stabilize the situation in Somalia than being an express attack on the West. Nonetheless, it is an attack on a very Western target, a high-end shopping mall. And I think what's most immediately significant about it is that Nairobi is a long way from Al-Shabaab's base of operations in Mogadishu. Now, Nairobi is not New York, but it does show, given this attack has gone on for 2.5 days now, that they were capable of mounting a very extensive effort a long way from their homeland. Whether they used radical Muslims in Kenya to support them, we don't know. There's a lot we still have to learn. But the idea that Al-Shabaab can operate way beyond their normal precincts and as an affiliate of Al-Qaeda undoubtedly has access to all kinds of other external assistance should give us pause in this country. And number two, the real issue now that we see across the continent of Africa, the divide between the Africa of the Sahara and north toward the Mediterranean and sub-Saharan Africa, this seam, if you will, between radical Islamicists from the north and Christian and local religion populations in sub-Saharan Africa. We'd seen it before in Somalia, which has not had an effective government in 20-plus years. Now we see it in Kenya. We've seen it in the Sudan, in Libya, in northern Nigeria with Boko Haram, in Libya, in Algeria, in Mali, right across the continent. So I would worry that from the U.S. perspective, that this this tragic incident is not isolated in the sense it's reflecting the growing conflict, tension, and terrorism right across the board in North Africa.
And if this was, as Al-Shabaab has said, apparently about the presence of Kenyan forces in Somalia, it was still an attack built on religious extremism in the sense that they were, according to Leland and all the reports we've heard from eyewitnesses, asking people if they were Muslim, asking them to recite a prayer to prove that they were good Muslims, and if not, shooting them point blank in the head. So to go from an anti-Kenyan military presence kind of attack to a very much an anti-Western attack would not be much of a stretch.
Yeah, Kenya is an overwhelmingly Christian country, but the fact that they pick this target as opposed, for example, to a Kenyan government facility, which would make sense if it were strictly an anti-Kenya government protest, I think shows they wanted broader coverage. They wanted to show the religious nature of it. We've seen this before. These terrorists have attacked resorts on the Kenyan seacoast. They've kidnapped European tourists down there. We know that the Al-Shabaab groups have worked with the Somali pirates, hijacking ships at sea off the coast of Somalia, getting revenues from holding these ships hostage. So this has been a problem that's been evident for quite some time. And, you know, now I think we're seeing the price of not paying adequate attention to it, the price of assuming that Somalia is a long way away.